Uh, Welcome everyone on this insightful session on a subject, that is so intriguing, such full of curiosity and information, spiders.
To bring people closer to nature and closer to spiders to look at how intelligent can creatures be. I mean, they beat human intelligence, as per my opinion, in every possible way. So let's embark on the journey without wasting much time. I'll share my screen and the admin can please tell me if I'm audible and the screen be visible together. So this session will be more about behavior and natural history. This is just one introduction slide like we need to have. They have a diverse range of adaptations to suit their habitat. That is what defines spiders, omnipresent. So somebody in the last talk was telling me that they have also been found in Antarctica, and I'm yet to verify the veracity of it. But yes, most of the tropical temperate areas have got an immense amount of diversity in spiders. And it will be amazing if you take a sneak peek into their lives like I'm trying to show you today. This is a little about diversity and how colorful and varied in their shapes and sizes they can be. This is a fun slide I would like to share with all of you, which tells us what do the spiders do in a typical day. So if you look at it, most of the time is resting. Can any of you go to the chats and tell me, does resting equate with sleeping, or could it be something else? Just take a guess. What does resting mean? Anyone? Do spiders rest only to sleep, or do they do anything else?
Digestion.
Waiting for food.
Waiting for food. Wow, that's an answer. Great. So the other ones, if you see, they build webs in the other time. What else? They are preparing or eating food. So like I told you in the previous sessions also, spiders will exude out enzymes out of their mouth, and outside the body they would digest and slurp it up or suck it up into their digestive system. That's how spiders feed, which is why it's a very lengthy process. They just don't munch on it with the jaws and eat it up. They don't do that. Now, what does resting include? It includes all the time they are guarding their egg sacs. They are ambushing the prey. They're stalking the prey. Also, the resting does not equate to sleep. Okay? They may go into a state of dormancy where they are not very active, but whether do spiders actually go to sleep is difficult to tell. Okay? So like humans, maybe we should not equate all other animals. Today we'll be looking at some of these aspects. Let me show you a little slide about it. We'll check upon mimicry, we'll touch upon predation, maternal care, ballooning very, very briefly, then camouflage. And the last one would be about silk. Let's go ahead. First is mimicry. This is one very interesting slide. This particular spider, if you look like I have tried to put it, has got two eyes and two little, whatever they are, feelers at the top. And then at the hind part, they've got two small other projections out. How many of you agree that the head is there on the top? Answers in the chat box, please, quickly. Kindly cooperate, and then it'll be a fun session, because if we just keep listening, maybe we will not engage ourselves much. Okay? Anyone? No. Okay. Somebody says no. They don't agree that the head is at the top. Anybody else who wants to answer? Head is at the bottom. Okay. So this is how mimicry works. This spider is Asamonia tenuipes, a very, very vibrantly colored salticid. And this is the male. So males, like in the animal kingdom, we know, are much prettier than the females. This one is extremely different in its coloration from the female, and the one at the bottom are actually the bulging palps. Like we had known in the previous sessions that the palps are always like boxing hands. They'll be full and will be rounded. So this basically mimics some kind of parasitoid wasp or sawflies, like I have shown you in the other pictures on the right hand side, and would always try to move the hind part of the abdomen such that it looks like this particular animal has got its head right on its bum, and then it has got two feelers which it can move like insects. So this is because I'm telling you the facts, you can look at it that way. But if you look at it in the forest or in the vegetation, it's very difficult to make out whether it is a spider or whether it is something else. Point one, it's a very tiny spider. Why does it need to mimic? So we know that sometimes the females also understand the male to be a potential prey and would predate. The colors of a courtship, this particular mimicry is to save itself from predators, of which the female could also be potentially one. So, it has got a lot of reasons why it needs to mimic a wasp or even a sawfly. Okay. Edwin, please take care. There are some people more who are joining. Shravanan is facing some audio disturbance. Okay. I just hope it improves. This was about the salticid. Okay. Next, we have got an animal called, or a spider called Citrarachne buffo. Now, I don't know where this name comes from, but what do you think does it mimic? Look at both the pictures on the left side of the screen. And you will have to look at the spider like the snout is the white part of the abdomen, which is pointed. And those two shoulder spots are the eyes. Now look at the picture of the frog. Do they look a little similar? At least a little, okay? But if somebody tries to argue that, no, Devi, this looks like the head of a mantis who could potentially eat away the male after mating, I would not disagree. So that is why both the pictures are there, and it is for you to decide what it mimics. But it does mimic something, and it will always keep itself resting in this position so that most of the birds, most of the wasps do not find out, do not make out that this could be a spider. Okay, and this is a very, very beautiful orb weaver. It builds a beautiful web, and a huge one too. Now this is the fun part. Find the spider. Can all of you see the spider, at least in the first picture? See, the fun part is these creatures are so amazingly interesting that they never would mimic the same thing. I mean, the similar species in one genus would mimic the same thing. They don't do that. So Arachnura, we've got two species at least in India. One is the yellow one. The other one is a red morph, which is a, I would say, brown to red morph, which I have seen in the West Ghats. My friends have reported it from the Western Ghats. And this one, probably we find it all across the country. Now, can you see this twig here? This is a dry twig, and it is exactly trying to mimic. This is a scorpion-tailed spider, but it has got nothing to do with the scorpions. This is mostly a twig mimicking or a dry flower mimicking species. Just see how beautifully it would align its hands together, I mean the legs together in the front, and then the tail bends away from the body so that it can take a shape. Also note that this animal wouldn't stay steady at any one particular kind of orientation. It will keep changing, which is why I have put 4 different photographs along with the same pistil or stamen, that little part of the flower which is dried and is trying to tag along on the web of the spider. How do we know that this particular spider knows to mimic this particular part of the flower? Or how do they find this particular structure and they can stay close to it? I had told you, we have to check for the eyes, their vision, and how they can make out things. So this particular scorpion-tailed spider is called arachnids, which is also a master mimicking animal. Next. Okay. What do you see on the right side? At the bottom, there are two pictures, okay? What is at the bottom? If you turn your head a little, tilt your head a little, you will find a small devil face there, okay? And it is trying to probably mimic a stink bug. But look at those, shoulder humps all over. If I show you the original structure of the spider, you will be surprised. It is actually closing down its head, covering its eyes, and total complete prosoma is covered. It's only showing the abdomen, which has got different structures. This is a poultice. The one on the left side is a areovixia. Sometimes we may not be able to make out. This sometimes mimics galls on the trees. Can you see it stays very close to a brown patch on the leaf exactly, not on the green. And this particular gentleman here tries to stick onto the bark, onto the twigs. It's called twig mimicking spider. We have got more poultice for you ahead. But this one sticks in a way such that one cannot even make out whether or not it is a spider. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so here somebody is feeding upon somebody else. Is this cannibalism? No? Ants eating up ants? Well, it looks like, isn't it? So there is this villain over here who is trying to masquerade as a ant in the entire colony. Look like them, be around them, eat them away when it is time, or they find an opportunity. This is Amicia, one of the not salticid. This belongs to Thomisidae. It's a crab spider. Well, we had done a little about families last time in the session, but this time I'll show you more through videos and pictures so that you can relate to it a little more nicely. So although it looks like an ant mimicking salticid, this is basically a crab spider, okay? And this will particularly be around the red ants. And right side, I've shown you the video, I think it's already played, how it has taken the opportunity to hang from its drag line and actually feast upon one of them. Okay. Can anyone tell me what is this? I have taken a very high contrast image, and that's why it's very clear that there is an animal there. Oh, sorry. Anybody? There is a thin green stick-like structure, isn't it? And then this is the creature which is trying to hang along a dry twig. So you see, we sometimes think that scrub vegetation isn't important. इस साइड में जो झाड़ फूड है उसे साफ करवा दो, उसको slash and burn कर दो. We just remove any kind of vegetation which looks very shabby and very not so pretty to us. But that is where these particular jewels would be dwelling. So I personally, in my office area, in my campus at home, I never get those cleaned like this. I never get them pruned and manicured every week and all, although it looks very pleasing to your eyes. We've got two particular places in our office, the front part, which is manicured for the lawn, grass, whatever, and the hind part or the back side, the backyard, where we do not touch a single thing, even if there is leaf litter on the floor. That is what tiny creatures like beetles, bugs, spiders, ants, they need. Unattended vegetation, okay, undisturbed vegetation. So this particular animal is from the family Therididae. Nobody would ever imagine any theridid looking like this. It so much looks like a tetragnatha, which are long-jawed spider, very thin, and they would align themselves with the grass blade. So this belongs to Therididae, irregular orb weavers, and this particular animal is called Ariamnis. Please go back and check these names if you are further interested. This was found mimicking a tendril. Can you look at its hind part, the abdomen, which actually mimics a tendril? I'll tell you a very quick trivia about this animal. It can actually roll this abdomen up to this part. Okay, I'm not sure if I can zoom it a little. Here is where the spinnerets are, and this tail structure can actually be rolled into this part. Okay, that is how beautiful these animals are and very, very skillful. Okay, let's go to more amount of poultice. This is the twig mimicking spider we just saw a little while ago. And one of these pictures is from my friend Sujit from Kabini. We have two different genus here, Poultice and Cephalonotus. Very less difference and very difficult to make out who is what. But Poultice is the spider or Cephalonotus is the spider which you find on the bark or on the twigs, mimicking the twigs. So here you can see if I take a picture from, this is a cropped image. If I take a picture from a distance, you will not be able to make out whether there is a spider or there is just the twig which is extended from a node. We will show you some more. Here comes the master blaster. Okay, these are taken from the internet. I have not encountered this animal yet, but my friends have in the Western Ghats, of course. This is Poultice mohoti. Look at the rightmost picture. This looks like a dead flower hanging from a silk line. Look at the ultimate picture. Have you seen the red weevil bug? Does the back exactly look like this? So we do not know whether this actually, and look at this extension process from the abdomen. This is crazy. I mean, nobody looking at it for the first time would ever conclude that this could be a spider, unless and until it scrambles out, opens its legs, and then, shows its whole body like it's doing in the first picture. This is Poultice mohoti. Now, this is one of my favorite friends. I spotted this guy way back in 2009, but this was christened into the name Marengo Sachin Tendulkar. I think very recently in the year 2015 odd or 18, I don't remember the year, but very recently. So to find the size estimate, you know very well whom it mimics, right? It mimics a black ant, the ones which are there scrambling all over the floor of your home. Put some sugar in some corner and they'll be there. Now, the size, you can see what I have placed it on to photograph, right? That is the pencil. And you know how to look for it? You have to turn leaves. So this was found very much in our campus in Regional Museum of Natural History, Bhubaneswar itself. And we found it on the underside of leaves. What is interesting is this is the male. The female is slightly bigger than this, would lay eggs on the underside of the leaf and would leave. The male is the one who would try to guard the eggs, wait for the babies to hatch. But now tell me, where will the babies find the first food? The female cunningly leaves few, what do we call them? Trophic eggs. Eggs which do not hatch into babies, but eggs which can be fed upon by the spider babies. So when they come out, they feed on the trophic eggs. There is a little competition. All babies would not survive, like we know. But the ones who survive will again emerge out of the egg sac. The father's job is done. Okay, so that was Marengo Sachin Tendulkar. Whoa, what are these? Again, this is one more Citrarachna, which if you squint your eyes would look as if it's a snake head or a molluscan shell which is looking at you straight to your eyes. And what is the one on the other side? If you turn your head again and you squint your eyes a little, you would find two eyes with two eyebrows and with tears rolling down. There is a nice little mouth also. So you can call it a Halloween spider. You can call it, I don't know what mimicking spider, but this is a poultice. Okay. This is also my friend, Mr. V.N. Srivastav's picture. That's not my photograph. And I need to credit him for this because this is from Hyderabad. I'm yet to find this in my own campus, but just look at that face. They just make that face on the abdomen so that the birds get scared. The other predators get scared, or they just take them for some sad looking insect sitting somewhere on the tree. Can you imagine? So just tell me, can this poultice really see what's there on its back? Can you see what's there on your back? Until and unless you use 2, 3 mirrors to actually reflect it, you can't. So how do they know what exactly morphostructure to make on the back so that they can look interesting or look fearful or look sad, like in this case? We have no clue. Evolution has played amazing games across times. And this is how, imagine a spider mimicking some molluscan shell. Like, go back home and do the math there. When did mollusks evolve? When did spiders come into existence? When did the wasps come into existence? How can this coevolution happen? Okay. If mimicry goes on, I think the whole night will pass. We will not be done. So if you want more homework, please note down Pacilobus, Prin arachne, Paraplectana. Okay. These are spiders which I could not place themselves because I feel like always placing my own pictures in my presentations. But they were not very good pictures. But you will be surprised to look at Paraplectana, very recently discovered from India. Two different species found, the red version, the yellow version, exactly mimicking the ladybird beetle. No difference. Okay. So go back home and find them out. Prinarachne, the bird poop mimicking spider, Paraplectana, ladybird mimicking spider, and Pacilopus, again the bird poop mimicking spider. We'll talk more about it if we have walks and Mr. Sharma lets us go into the wild. Okay, let's go to predation.
You're most welcome anytime.
So here are some of the very not so gory images, but look at the prey size. I have tried to put, okay, the first picture is by my friend Debomai from Kolkata. The rest of them are my pictures. Well, uh, yeah. So if you look at the size of the prey and the predator, can you guess? Can you imagine? Imagine yourself taking on Iron Man or maybe Hulk or something. I don't relate to those sci-fi movies much, but imagine something greater than the human being's size, and some way you have to counter them. Yeah. But these ambushers and stalkers, the first one is a salticid, the other two are oxyops or the lynx spider. They take down prey which is way much larger than their own size. That is what is most important about predation. Some more pictures for you. Here is a Zodaridae, there is a Thomisidae. Again, look at the prey size. For the ground runner, you may say it's comparable size. That is Turinomorpha. This one is Thomisus. Do you see the bee still glistening wings, but already taken down by the Thomisus, only to be made into a nice soup meal, then taken in. Some more predation. This is from Tenidae, probably Africa tenus or tenus. And this one is Oxyops once again with a bee catch. These animals are amazing hunters, and you will not imagine how many million insects they can take down in one single year, which is why I was dragged into the subject of studying the prey and predator relationship of spiders in paddy fields. They actually control huge amount of insects. We have shown you in the previous slides also, in the previous sessions, I mean, that insects are the largest taxa in the whole animal kingdom. These ones, or the spiders, I mean, would be one of the taxa or the one of the, yeah, uh, class or order which would control maximum number of insects. Okay. It is difficult to understand, but once we see their rate of predation, it's mind-boggling. There's a tiny video for you. This is by Shibu Bhaskar. I thank him for the video and the quick picture. Here is an interesting story, and you will not like the prey much. This prey is a vertebrate. It's a frog, like you can all see. And the spider, which is a huntsman, is hanging from the drag line. You can see all those ants moving on that leaf by the side, and is trying to predate on the frog, which is trying to helplessly yelp around or like that, moving its hands in the air, trying to escape. We do not know what happens at the end, But there have been stories where heteropods or this parasitic family, the huntsman spiders have actually taken down huge, large prey. Somebody by the name of Mr. Sandip is trying to write something on presentation. Admin would kindly like to take note. Okay. So these are some more videos you can take a look together where predation is seen. The first one is that of a salticid. Please don't write on the screen. Kindly enjoy the videos. There's no point if you try to scribble on the screen, okay? Makes no point. Anyway, the other two pictures on my right here are those of fishing spiders. Okay, so if I play the video, you can see this water which is reflecting nicely above the sky, and this is the spider here. This is the fishing spider here, which is waiting for a tadpole or a dragonfly larvae or something, or a fishling even, fingerling, which it can actually predate upon. Here is a damselfly, if you can see, very, very camouflaged into the habitat. And there is the spider also. You have to look very carefully to be able to spot it. The water is clear, but there is slush around it, and the spider is safely camouflaging itself nicely into the habitat. Okay, that was a little about predation. This is one of the very interesting spiders, which is the Harry Potter spider or the Gryffindor spider. This is Eriovixia gryffindori. This was discovered by a group of arachnologists from Mumbai. One of my friends, Javed, was also there in the team. And they lovingly named it the sorting hat spider. So I don't need to give you any introduction to Harry Potter or the hat. And this particular spider, if you look at, I thank Dr. Raghavendra for this picture. If you look at, completely camouflages in a bamboo vegetation or even on a twig or a dry leaf vegetation, where you hardly can make out that it is there sitting and trying to ambush the prey. It is an obweaver, but still in the resting pose, it will wait for the prey to fall into the web. Can you all see spiders here? We have come to the next section, which is camouflage. The spider in the middle is a tetragnatha, most common dominant spider in the paddy fields. Here there is a neoscona which is in the hiding. You can hardly make out because of the structure on the abdomen and the color of the body, which is typically brown. Here there is a Hersilia or a two-tailed bark spider, which is almost merging itself to the habitat. In camouflaging, spiders are master blasters. Well, now tell me, do you see any animal here or any spider here? This photograph, the first one is by my friend David Raju from the Western Ghats. The other one is my picture. The first picture is that of a scorpion-tailed spider. Like I had told you a little while ago, we have a yellow morph and this is the red morph. Can you see the scorpion tail here? And it is trying to exactly look like a dry leaf, as if some leaf has turned red out of aging and is trying to hang from a drag line. Here there is a rini or a small tiny salticid which is trying to mimic concrete around it. Can you see the road or the concrete surface, boulders? That is what it is trying to mimic, looking a little mysterious, trying to hide itself in the ambience. Well, these are master blasters. Find me the spider in the first picture. Well, if you look carefully, you can look at the eyes, because for the ease of access and suitability of the audience, I have tried to put cropped pictures. But if I show you the zoomed out pictures, I'm pretty sure you will not be able to make out. The right-hand side one is a lichen mimicking huntsman. It's called Pandasitis. Where is the spider in the first picture? If anybody can tell me.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle? Is it visible?
Yep.
Okay. So this is Selenopidae or Selenops from the family Selenopidae. They are flat spiders, and the way they mimic themselves, it was a challenge for me also to find out. They would move sideways like a viper, and they would never crawl to the front. You would never be able to make out that there is something scrambling because it's just like a dead leaf trying to fly away on the forest floor. It's typically difficult to find out whether there is any spider there or not. Okay, well, it's nice if you can see it there in the middle. Some more. Here is a Therostris, or a Darwin's bark mimicking spider. This picture is by Nikki Bay, one of my idols when I talk about arachnology. He is an amazing macro photographer. You can find his website, check his pictures. You will be tuned into his website for hours together. Okay. He shot almost all of Southeast Asia and the spiders along. Well, this is a bark mimicking spider. What is unique about this spider is that it can shoot out silk for meters together, sometimes 10 meters long or even more. Okay. You cannot even see its eyes. Can you notice that there are no eyes on the animal? It's trying to sit like this. Okay. The legs across the head. So here is the head. And it's nicely trying to make the rings of a bark. These are actually his legs or her legs. And here is the tiny head. It is not hiding its eyes. It has to look for prey and has to look for predators also. It's not hiding its head, but the legs are positioned such that it will look like it's an extension of a trunk of the tree and is actually trying to very, very closely mimic it. Okay. It's Kerostris, and the other one we know is Poltis. Okay. More camouflage coming ahead. Here there is a spider, but carefully notice there is a brown patch here. It has got egg sacs to which it is attached, or it is trying to guard. It has put the egg sacs close to the brown patch cleverly so that egg sacs are not mistaken as anything else or bulging structures. No. And the spider themselves, she's trying to lie down on the side as if it's kind of a dead insect. Can you see? Part of its tummy is also transparent. I'm trying to zoom in. Just check. This is Meotipa. Okay. The spider is from Theridiidae family, Meotipa genus. Find me the spider in the second picture. How many of you can see the spider in the second picture? Oh, sorry. Anybody who can tell me the spider? Anybody who knows the spider in the second picture? This one. Is it visible? Is the spider visible? Quickly in the chat box, please. Okay. So I don't think people are answering. Anyway, so this is a very unique Oxyops. This is Hamataliva genus, and this is trying to guard the egg sac. So this protruded structure, white colored thing, is where it has its whole treasure. That is the egg sac. This is the spider here trying to put all the legs in the prayer pose, front aligned with the head and the abdomen, the cream colored abdomen behind. And it's trying to stick out of a small stalk near a fruiting tree. This always chooses an apical position so that, and you see it's also dry, but mind it, the spiders never fall off from the tree while the eggs are yet not hatched. So it knows the strength of the particular shoot, tip, bark, or any kind of leaflet, or even a small twig where it is hanging from, that it will never go away even in wind. That is how it is so confidently trying to sit there. This is Cyclosa spider, let me tell you, and look at this queer creature in the first picture itself. This is not even trash. How did this structure, which looks like a pebble or some earthen concrete, stick to its web? How did this small creature carry this whole thing onto this particular drag line? This is Cyclosa confraga, and it is a trash line spider. You can see trash on both the sides. My question to you is, do you call this mimicry or do we call this camouflage? Now that we have seen so many examples. Quickly in the chat box, please. I at least expect the audience to answer this one. What would you call this? Is the spider camouflaging itself, or is this some form of mimicry? I can see one or two people answering. Oh, there is a smart answer which says both. It cannot be both. Now here is the quick tip. Avishan says camouflage. Anybody else? Okay. So this is particularly camouflage. You can ask me why. Mimicry is when the spider tries to look like something else. Okay. It could be bird poop. So you see, bird poop and spiders are remotely related. Okay. They're not even related to some far, far extent. But why do they look like that? To avoid predation. That would be mimicry. Here, it builds a trash line and tries to also look a little like the trash, but is trying to camouflage. If you separate out the spider, like we have done in the first picture, this does not look like trash itself, which is why it is camouflage. It's important to know which is what and why. Okay. The next chapter, maternal care. We've got so many slides, I have to rush. Cannot help. Some few examples of maternal care, and then we will have a story about the first spider, which you can see on the screen here. Some more examples of maternal care. Okay, here did I name it? The central picture is that of a Lycosidae or a wolf spider, Pardosa genus. This is Oleus lamarcki, whose story I'll be telling you very quickly. And those grape-like structures, cute yellow structures, are the babies of this particular spider. There is a salticid. The video isn't playing here, but I'll show you otherwise. This salticid tries to conceal itself into a small recluse or a pouch and then tries to turn the eggs. Like, you know, when we put an egg in an incubator, we usually turn them. So this particular mother tries to turn the eggs, the ones which are still viable. I mean, they would hatch into babies. And the Lycosidae, when the eggs hatch, you can see in the next picture, they would be carried on the back this way for a very long time. How long? Till the spiderlings disperse. And the mother till then mostly does not feed. The top picture is that of Bretus singulatus, where we find the mother trying to tend to the newly hatched young babies. Okay. Here we have Angius trying to guard the egg sac. Who can identify this particular spider? The one on the right side is a Scytodes fusca. Look at how the egg sacs are positioned differently for different families. So this is Sparasidae, this is Lycosidae, this one below is Gnaphosidae, here it is Salticidae. This one is Salticidae again, this is Thomisidae, this one is Scytodidae. All different families, egg sacs in different positions. Anyone who can identify the first spider here? It's a very prominent spider. We have a story about it also later in the presentation. Can any of you tell me? Nobody? Nobody writing in the chat box? So this is a master hunter and an equally caring mother. This is many people's favorite. By the name of a Shakespearean character, its name is Portia. Sometimes we call it the white mustache spider. Okay, can you see the mustache going like that? But this is a female. Don't get deceived by the term mustache. Okay. So the story about this particular crazy creature here is, while I tell you the story, please pay attention to the video also. So we had been to Bhitarkanika and there was this roadside swamp and I could see a small leaf of Eichhornia which was closed, unlike all other leaves. Okay. So what happens is this particular leaf which I found, which you can see in the previous picture, was trying to dry, was looking yellow amongst all the green leaves. And also I found this particular cone shape. So I went there. I was young. I did not know that I shouldn't have plucked it, but I tried to bring it with me. I brought it back, reared the whole egg sac in the lab, And this is an image, not with a very professional camera, I'm sorry for the quality, but you can see the leaf completely turned into a pan shape or a cone shape. And then there is this egg sac, white color egg sac. What is interesting to note is this spider has lined the whole leaf with silk. Can you see that on the bottom? Which is why I was showing you this video. So once I tried to prick it a little to see what is there inside, whether there are eggs or babies, it immediately tried to stitch it back. You know, it is so protective of the babies, which were looking like tiny grapes in the previous picture. It immediately tried to stitch it back. You can see this petri dish on which I had put this leaf and the spider which is trying to stitch back. Look at the other video, how meticulously spinnerets can be at action. Imagine at the hind of the body of the spider also, these particular spinnerets work this immaculately, this effectively and perfectly that they can spin. Do you see the spinnerets in action? And not only that, they can spin geometric structures with it. It's not that it only keeps trying to repair the torn parts and all. So an extremely sacrificing mother, we reared all the babies, we released all the babies, even the mother was alive after that. It took food and it was an amazing experience looking at what maternal care can actually be. So they are extremely caring mothers, like we may not know, but they are. This is a teaser slide for you to take a break from all that jargon you have heard till now and look at the colors spiders can offer. Many of you must have seen them camouflaging over there, dry, dull, trash mimicking. You know, Neoscona is again garden weaver, all brown. All lycosids are brown. Look at this plethora of colors here, and I'll play this video once again for you to see the siler. Can you see that glistening body? Go back. This is a homework once again. Go back and check the peacock spiders and Stenellorellus lesserti, which is found in India. Amazing rainbow colors on the spider, and we do have courtship behavior in few of these. One is Siler, which I have shown you here. That glistening body, you just cannot take your eyes off, whether it is black or orange or blue. It has got all over there. The other one is Chrysilla, the one at the end. Here at the top right, it is Camaricus, a crab spider. And the first one, which is a picture of one of my friends, Shantanu, is a Hamadruas from Oxyopidae family. Can you see the number of colors sprinkled on its body? Look at this, one more siler. Even the middle one is also a siler. All different silers, all different bodies. And how do they appear with so much of vibrant colors on their bodies? Okay, I'm not sure if we can finish all of the natural history today because we may run out of time, but I'll definitely tell you the wasp story, which I had promised in the first session. So here we are presenting before you the spider wasps or Scelifron cementarium. We have potter wasps who would stuff in caterpillars like some of you would have already seen and known, observed them as well. You can see the size of the wasp and the weight of the caterpillar which is trying to take. This is Scelifron, one of the wasps which can actually stuff in spiders. That's not a very pleasant thing for me, but yeah, the discovery was amazing. When we tried to upturn or remove one of these, do you see that it has tried to camouflage its nest? The background color here, the aluminum railing was light gray in color. It has tried to put cement particles from different, um, places elsewhere. Also notice this tiny mud ball which is there. It makes balls out of its mouth and the mud which it picks up, tries to spray water on them and then make the whole nest. The nest looks like this from the inside, and these are the inhabitants of the nest, along with the wasp baby, of course. Each cell, interestingly, has got exactly same number of spiders. Look at the picture in the center. If you want me, I can zoom it a little. Stuffed with spiders. Who teaches the wasp to put in exactly 12 or 14 spiders in each cell? How do they know this math? Isn't it super interesting? So we did have to, give the wasp a tough time. We tried to upturn the nest, But then we found out these kind of secrets. The wasps know how much to feed the baby, what to collect, how many to collect, and how to place them. Each cell has got one wasp egg and 12 spiders. Exactly. Okay. Now, this is what the inside of the nest looks like. Again, this is a very amateur picture which I had taken long back. Not a very nice photograph, but you can see the wasp baby here. Here it is sticking to one of the spiders. What is the more interesting fact here is closer look to the uh, wasp baby here at the center and the spiders there, all thomisids. Sometimes it would collect all the spiders from a single family. Sometimes it would be a concoction because it did not find enough from one family. And the other times, there would be a tiny male attached to the female, which would also come along live. I'm not sure if I spoke about it in the last sessions, but this male is an unintended guest. The wasp did not want to carry this male, along with the female, which is bulkier and fleshier, to have to be fed upon by the baby. But because it was in love with the female, I mean, trying to court it and mate with the female, it could not just leave. So it came along with the female, tagged along to its abdomen to the underside where it actually does its business of fertilization and, I mean, insemination. And then we found it inside. So I think I have a video of it to play for you. Not sure if it's there. Okay. And this is what emerges out of them. Interestingly, all these spiders you see are not dead. Mark my words, they are not dead. They are only half dead. Exactly in ICU conditions inside the web where water cannot enter, air is very fixed. I mean, less amount of air. Of course, perforation because of the mud, but very ICU like a chamber with the food ready for the baby to grow up and pupate inside the same cell, then become another one like mom, the spider wasp. Okay, a little about silk. I cannot miss silk when I'm talking about spiders. Uh, Mr. Sharma, please indicate when I have to stop. This is a really long presentation. I don't
We
want
are
to kill people's time.
we are thoroughly enjoying it.
So the geometric structures we see around and the silk we have already seen in the forest, like it comes onto our face sometimes very irritatingly, we would do this. But trust me, it is a lot of hard work. You see, you want to see more of hard work? I won't go into the jargons once again. Look at this. I cannot miss sharing this. This is a tiny spider from the Peruvian forest of Amazon in South America. One of the caves had this silk henge spider. This is a web constructed by one of the theridids, which looks something similar to this because this is a baby. We do not know what the adult would look like exactly. I mean, they would be similar, but size is another factor. The center of the web has the eggs nicely kept, safe. Why did the spider think of making these lines, like a Howrah bridge would be supported? And look at the henge it has created around, the fence around. This is only to mimic. Do you remember some fungus growing on spiders and the scale insects? Those feathery white color structures, some moss sometimes. Okay. This is only to mimic something which is there on the cave or the underside of the roof of the cave. A team of scientists discovered it very recently, and the spider is yet to be getting a name. This is extremely small in size, but look at the architecture. Unbelievable. Okay. We just hope we find it sometime very soon. The right side video tells you the strength. That's why as pretty as deadly. The first picture is pretty as a spider web. But look at the next picture. This is by Mr. Eric from the Natural History Group. I'm not sure of the complete name, but he had put this video, which was very intriguing for me, that the web of Nephila could actually hold back a swift in place in the web. imagine how strong the web is. To
There
actually
have
be,
been so many interesting records of birds like sunbirds and white eyes and
yes.
others
So the
getting stuck
tiny
in
birds.
nephila.
Now,
Yeah,
anyone take a guess what happens to these birds? Do they die? Does the spider eat them? Anyone? Any guesses?
I
This is a very
I'll
interesting guess.
I'll take a guess.
Please.
Uh, in the most likelihood, spider will take the silk off and let the bird go.
Yes,
That's a
clap,
wild
clap,
guess.
clap.
Yeah, because it's too big a prey and it's too much of effort to consume it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
These are the tiny things which are being encircled is actually this spider, which is extremely beautiful and looks like a drop of silver, commonly called a silver drop, right? You can see the glistening silver color on its body. What are they doing on the Nephila's web? They are basically there to steal food. So Nephila, like we were talking about, would not feed on anything that is not food for it. So it will only feed on the larger insects like moths, crickets, grasshoppers. But what do these kleptoparasites do? They will stick to the web, almost spend their entire life cycle there, mating, eating, stealing away food from Nephila's prey. Nephila would not feed upon the very, very tiny insects like mayflies or, you know, some tiny dipterans which cannot be even seen by naked eye sometimes. So these tiny creatures, you can see the size, okay? This white color structure here is this spider actually. This is a theridiidae, this is a arachnidae, building a beautiful, huge web. And this one is a irregular web dweller, but this does not make a web of its own. Here it's an opportunistic feeder. More of how the silk looks like. This is how they hang. So they'll make a zigzag first, the spider spinnerets, then they will tag along the drag line there. Do you see there are instruments and tools with the spider's claws with which it can actually hang and also try to kind of organize the silk. So silk itself will take one more session. I'm not going deeper into the silk. This is one fun slide once again to take your mind off all that what we have learned till now. I was telling you about the scuba diver in my last session. This is what it looks like. This is from Britannica. Of course, not from my archives because we have not yet encountered or seen Argionetta, the name of the spider, which is a diving bell spider. So in the depiction, you can see this is a air bubble which has been made by the spider within silk. This is why it falls under the silk category, the last of our natural history segment. Uh, this carries oxygen. Why? Because the spider has to diffuse. So it carries everything underwater, just like you can see in the picture. Look at sea image. The abdomen is smaller, but there is a bigger bubble there. It dives along with the bubble and tries to feed upon, again, fingerlings, tadpoles, mosquito larvae, dragonfly larvae, whatever it finds. That is diving bell spider for you. It's a scuba diver for me. Amazingly scuba dives and again pops up out of water when the diffusion into this bubble is done. Can you imagine any creature which has already reigned over the skies, the soil, the water, the trees, vegetation? What else is left? Okay, sorry, that's a wrong slide there. I was about to tell you the story of Portia, but this will be a little technical. You can just see through the images. This is interesting. Cannibalism is very clearly seen in spiders, where you see them uh, eating each other. Okay. Now, this is the last story for the day. We will close with this. I want a little bit more of your patience. This is the story of Stichodipus saracenorum, and we are talking about social spiders. Look at their webs, amazing webs, completely meant to catch insects. It is extremely sticky, always found on, I mean, mostly found on thorny shrub and scrub vegetation. Can you see these tunnels on the right side picture? Those are the tunnels for the spider to actually move into the nest. And this colony, take a guess how many spiders would be living there by the named social spiders?
20.
How many?
20.
Okay. This size of a web would house, let's say, 20. I agree. But there are messier and larger webs than this, which can have more than 100 individuals just in one web. So these are colonial spiders. They would stay together and they have a social hierarchy. This is the female. You can see so camouflaged to its habitat. And these are the tunnels. So the tunnels for the immatures, for the mature females, for the males and the babies are all different. Okay, coming to what it is famous for. Look at the size of this web. This is one more Stegodiphyus. The previous one was Saracenorum species. Okay, that's thunder. And the one on this page is Stegodiphyus pacificus. Okay. Now, can you guess the size of this web? The size of this web, guys, please. Anybody? Look at the height of the tree. This web was found by me in central India, in Panna actually, where I was posted for tiger translocation, like Manoj said in the introduction. That's very humble introduction. Thank you. This is at least 7 feet. Okay. And I will show you a better picture. If I go into the next slide, that's me. I'm trying to collect or just check. So I forgot one interesting fact. This is an individual spider, although it belongs to the social order or social spider group of Stegodiphyus. They make small single webs. Now ask me whether this one is a social colonial web or a singleton. This spider web is built by a single female and is inhabited by a single primary female. Look at this. This is where the female would be resting. More pictures. All along the length of this tree. In the first picture, I have tried to show you a close-up. Just check. Irregular cribulate web. No definite structure. Look at the second picture. It tapers into a conical structure and then touches the ground. So whenever there is something from the ground, they can also escalate onto the web and the spider can come along and predate upon. Okay. This is the web of Stegodiphyus pacificus. Look at this closer look of the web. Can all of you see? I mean, I'm trying to zoom it a little so that the structure is visible, but look at what length of the tree it has covered. Unless and until I show it to you in the forest live, it is difficult to even make out. More pictures just to give you an idea. I'm not sure if you can just get the size of the whole thing. Now, this is the female sitting here where I was trying to poke my finger. Okay, inside its nest. Now, I carried back this nest with me, and within few days, this is the egg sac inside this whole messy web. And I was curious as to how many females would actually come out of it. I found out there was only one primary female, which after few days was found dead inside its own web, its own, what do I say? Its own egg sac. I'm not sure if you can see, but these are the babies here. The little bulging structures which you see are all babies. And this is the egg sac. This was the whole nest, which is now in shambles, of course, after the babies have hatched. This is the emergent baby, I mean the emergent female, which will once again go ahead and make a nest. What happens here in between is these babies will basically feed on the mother. And here you can see the dead mother lying upside down right on the egg sac. Can you make out the hands, I mean the legs to the top like two hands, surrendering its whole body to the babies who would take their first meal from the flesh of the mother, which is the source of protein. You can see one leg detached, fallen apart. This is the story of Stichodipus pacificus, which is an extremely sacrificing mother. And this is what is called matriphagy. Matri means maternal and phagus means feeding, from where we get the word phagy. So until and unless you go close and check a web like this, you will never be able to make out the science behind it. You will never be able to realize that the mother could have escaped the web after laying the egg sac, but it does not. So every female which separates out from the social order actually makes its own web and makes and runs her own life cycle, only to egg lay once in its lifetime. So it's very obvious, isn't it? It'll lay an egg sac, then die for the babies right there. So there is no second chance of laying eggs because they are huger in number. This is how nature has planned or has tried to balance the population. Okay. Right. So that was a little story about Stigodipus saracinorum and Stigodipus pacificus. This
I
is
think
one
there
of
is
the
a,
emergent babies.
sorry, there is a question about this, I think, that was asked
And we
by
are at the end of it.
Neil.
I'll take the questions.
Yeah.
I have a question answer slide too. Before I end the
Okay.
story on this particular note, where we learn about such sacrificing mothers, imagine we taking out slippers to just kill spiders because they are so annoying, so irritating, creepy crawlers, and what not names do we give them? Critters. I mean, I have never seen such animals with so much intelligence, so much dedication, so much humility, such maternal care. So the next time you're starting to look around yourself, sorry for that looking spelling over there, you can just look just around you. Your sofa set, your car. Some of my friends don't like them inside their car. Your homes, anywhere. They will be there everywhere. You just need that eye to observe and a little bit of humility because that is what we learn from the spiders. Stop flaunting and show the world what you have within with all humility. Thank you very much, guys, for all this patience. I am open to your questions.
Such an enlightening session, ladies. Uh,
Thank you so much. I'm so
it's
sorry I
been
can't open my camera. It's all lights out over here, but I'm open for all the questions. This
yeah.
is Lucas. Go back and check for fun videos on YouTube about Lucas. It's got goggly eyes like a salticity, and there are amazing stories and videos about spiders, which Lucas tries to say. If you want your kids to learn about spiders, that's a very good resource.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think there are
Neil
some pretty
was trying
questions
to
over there.
ask something. He says, how long will this female take to build this web? I think he's talking about that 7 foot
The
web.
yeah. Okay. So this separates out from the mother's this thing very quickly. And these are mostly individual spiders. You see how the life cycle runs for them. Mostly, I'm talking about Pacificus here. If I am allowed to go back there and show you a little more. Oh, I already arrived at the thank you slide. Sorry. So this picture is one of my favorite pictures, which I took from a flood-ridden lycosidy. This is the egg sac which we had to open, and the babies were reared, and they were again released into the wild. So this is a lycosidy egg sac for you all people. We'll go back to the slide which tells us about Stigodipus, and I'll try to show him. Yeah. Although I do not have an exact estimate of how much time it would take, but this is how they build it. And I'm not sure if there are any studies done as to how long do they take. It should be somewhere between 2 days to 3 days that it takes to build the entire web because it goes slow. It's cribblet silk and this conical structure. Even for the first time, I was surprised. First, I had a doubt in my mind after studying spiders for 8 years, or say, then I was amateur, maybe 4 years, then that whether this belonged to a spider or not. I was astonished myself. I could not believe until and unless my second encounter happened when I was doing my PhD back. This was from Burgard, Debrigad. And this gave me this enlightenment that they can actually build these webs. And look at this conical structure which it tries to attach to the ground. You know, it's crazy the way they are enigmatic web builders. That is why my title says mysterious web builders of the animal kingdom. Anyway, let us see if there are more questions. Okay, thank you for that question, by the way. I will now try to uh, I'm not sure how I can track it, but I'll try to find out from literature at least to find and see if there is some timeline for this present. Very less studies have been done, people, about social spiders. I invite any kind of this audience who wants to come and collaborate with me, study along, enthusiasts or naturalists who are ready to learn more about this. And I would be glad to share whatever little wisdom I have been able to, you know, gather. Are
It's
there
been
any more questions?
such a wonderful session. Uh, Sandeep is saying
Okay.
something. I saw a
Sandeep
thick
says, I
web
saw
on
a
the
thick
ground.
web on the ground with a hole going into the earth. Okay, so I did not go into silk much, like I said. But if I take silk as the prominent subject, that will be another 1.5 hour long session where we can focus on different types of silk, different types of web, the web builders, and the ones which are ground dwellers. So the one which you have seen is basically a lycosidy web which collects dry vegetation from around and makes a funnel shape of a web. You can go back and check Hipasa or funnel web dwellers. So it'll lead you to Hipasa genus, which is from Lycosidae family, and they make amazing funnel webs. If there is a session which permits me ahead, I will surely dedicate that to silk. Now that I have done a little sprinkles of natural history about spiders' life, probably silk would be the next thing which would be interesting, because to give you a small tip, we already have bioengineering and science that is leading us to think of bulletproof material from spider silk. There is some research which is going on to use this particular silk to stitch organs together after some surgery, even in human bodies, because it is inert material and no such fiber as strong as spider silk. It's even stronger than steel. So this has been proved by the Young's modulus. It is not just a phrase to say. We can share the math with you if you want, but it has already been proven that if silk is torn into the same ductility as spider silk, then silk would break, but the spider silk would not.
Yeah,
Okay, there is Gaurav who asks me.
It's generally said that spider silk is about 100 times at an average
Yes,
stronger than similar strand of
any other
steel,
material.
any other
Yes.
material. Is
Yeah.
from Priya. The male in the wasp cell that got taken with the female will not have been paralyzed and so will be active inside.
Okay, in the wasp, it is very different. We do not have a male wasps and the female wasps, and so the fertilization happens outside. It is the female who is the sole leader and the sole, what do I say? The showstopper for the whole thing. That is the one. It is the one herself who builds the whole, the whole nest, and also draws all the spiders or caterpillars to the nest. So fertilization in wasps happens outside, not in the cells at least, and it only lays egg on the body of the spider for that baby to grow up into a larvae and pupate inside that particular cell.
I think
No,
Priya
ma'am.
was.
What I was meaning was that you had said no that along with the female spider, the male also got taken.
Okay. I get it. You are meaning to ask me
So I
about
was
the tiny
wondering, like
spider.
it would have. Yes.
Yes,
So
yes,
the
very
female
much.
would
You are
have been
completely
paralyzed
correct.
since it was meant to be taken. So the male wouldn't have
I get it.
been. So will it get active inside the cell?
It is completely active. I wish I could show you that video right now. I'm not sure if I pasted that video. Well, it'll take me a moment for me to now again, get back to that video. But I think I've shown it in the previous, some of my previous sessions, where the male is actually trying to move around the female's abdomen, and it was actually found in the inside of a wasp nest. Okay, so it is pretty interesting how they function, because that particular Thomisus was in courtship. The male got dragged along, but generally the wasp would not pick the male because, like I said, it is an insignificant material for the baby to feed on. Okay, so yeah, unless and
it's
until it
alive
is eaten up by, yes, it is very much alive.
So if it's alive and moving around, will the wasp babies also try to eat that, or it'll eat only these paralyzed ones?
Mostly the wasp baby will only eat the paralyzed ones, because, like, these kind of caterpillars, they will have very less vision. They do not go out and search for food. They are crippled with vision. They are just, blind babies with a very, very proactive stomach. They just keep eating whatever is there inside, digest it, and then pupate. So if this sometime comes in between, I mean, the mouth structures and all, it may get eaten up, but most likely it will escape.
But can the other way also happen? Like, will this male feed on that baby instead?
The male will not feed on the baby, because the males are generally very cryptic in their diet, in their behavior, and what they will feed upon. Okay. So mostly the male will 99.9% of the time not feed on the larvae. The larvae is too big for the male also. But again, what happens to the male, that is something we need to wait and see, because chance happenings only happen like this. But when it pupates, it takes up the whole space of the cell, and the male would mostly suffocate and die out of starvation and zero light and zero food.
Another question is there any study going on to delve deeper into spider's brain?
Well,
This
there is
by
a
Avisham.
spider's brain, huh? Okay. I will have to check this, because there are different aspects of the spiders on which people are doing studies, like the vision of spider, the way they predate, the size of the silk they spin, and different kinds of different kinds of aspects of the spider. But whether exactly on the brain something is going on or not, I have to check. I'm not pretty sure.
Right. Sandeep is asking a question. Is the spider / caterpillar kept alive so it won't rot? Oh, you're back. We can
Which
see you.
yeah, some kind of jugaad arrangement is there. Well, which slide exactly does Sandeep want to
I think
refer
Sandeep is
to? I need a
referring
clue about
to,
that.
I think Sandeep is referring to, the wasps taking the spiders or even the caterpillars into their nests, which are
Okay,
actually
and what is this
paralyzed.
question?
Question is, are they kept alive? I think I
They
can
are
answer
kept
that.
in a half dead condition.
Correct.
So the wasp exactly knows how much amount of venom to
Yeah.
inject into the spider so that it does not die,
Yeah.
but also does not come back to life and start
Correct.
scrambling over the place.
Correct.
So this is what precision is actually intriguing and very, very interesting for me. Who
Yeah.
tells the wasp what size of body of spider to actually stuff into the cell, how much of venom to actually inject, and how to keep them half dead and half alive?
Correct. So I can add something here. There is something called jewel wasp, and these are also, called cockroach wasp. So what they do, they sting the cockroach, and there must
Okay.
be some kind of venom or some kind of substance that goes and paralyzes them, and not exactly paralyzes the cockroach, but also what it does is it makes the cockroach lose all sense of escape and sense of fear.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then what the wasp does it, after the cockroach has been stung, it gives it some time for this effect to take place. And then it clips a little portion of the antennae of the cockroach to taste its blood, to measure, the effect of the sting, whether the cockroach has been sufficiently stung to keep it paralyzed. In case the dose has been higher and the cockroach is bound to die, it will not take that cockroach into the nest. If the cockroach has
wow.
got a sting which is not kind of sufficient, it can come back, to full life, then again it will reject. So it will make sure that a cockroach which has been sufficiently stung and is sufficiently paralyzed to last the duration when the babies hatch to feed on it. It's amazing. Absolutely
So what
amazing.
we have seen with the spiders is, I have shown you a very decent spider which just takes up the ones which are there in your garden. So there are more ferocious, spider wasp. So there are more ferocious ones which are ground dwellers. They would make a, uh, uh, their nest on the ground, and they can
Yeah.
drag away tarantulas also,
My God.
as huge as that. So they are pretty dangerous to look at. I mean, of course, definitely we arachnologists don't like those wasps. And again, one more homework for the audience. Please go back and check Haplocostus devamatha, one of my favorite spiders, that has also been dragged down by a ground dwelling wasp. I did not share those gory images here. I did not like it much. But that spider is one jewel of all creatures you have seen on this planet. Please go back and check this jewel from the Western Ghats, described by a group of scientists from Kerala, from Devamatha College itself, which is why Dr. Sunil Jose and his team, which is why it's called Haplocostus devamatha. And that spider also being so gorgeous, being so iridescent in its colors on its body, could be dragged down by a ground dwelling wasp. What worse is, they would sometimes clip off the legs only to take away the fleshy part, which is the abdomen and the head, into the nest. So the legs usually, mostly would not have enough flesh for the baby to eat. So that takes up space. They would simply, cut them off with their biting mouth parts.
How interesting. So final question is by Gaurav. Uh, Gaurav says, what about the biomimicry of the spider silk? And then he says, in the glass windows.
I did not follow.
Can Gaurav, can you come? Can you switch on your? Yeah.
So I was reading somewhere
Mm-hmm.
that the spider silk is
Mm-hmm.
used in glass windows.
For?
The
What
spider
is it
web.
used for?
Uh,
No, I get that.
it's,
It's used in the glass windows, you're saying. But exactly for what?
no, it is like biomimicry. So
Mm-hmm.
birds can see what you say UV rays, and that silk has UV rays. So the bird should not go and hit the windows. So they are using spider silk in it.
Oh,
I'm not sure if this has been into commonplace practice or not, or if there is any scientific, substantiating facts along with this. But what I can tell you is, if I have shown you cyclosa, right? If you go back and check cyclosa, they have got strong stabilimentum, which is a thick silk which actually lines uh, uh, their orb web. So why I'm mentioning this is because same stories about UV deflection and birds getting to deflect away from that is related to those kind of orb webs, in which sometimes signature spider also comes into the same category, where we find the garden cross spiders, where we find a signature kind of a structure on the web, cross shape. And even cyclosa has got beautiful stabilimentum, which it builds in a circular fashion, sometimes irregular pattern. They say that this has got properties which can deflect UV rays and can also abstain birds from going and hitting across the web, so that the preciously exuded silk does not actually get into mess and they can catch insects instead of birds. That is what they say, but these are all hypotheses. I'm not sure if they are already being used on glass windows for this kind of a deflection. I will have to figure out, I mean, if that is substantiated by any kind of a study or not. I'm yet to figure it out. As far as I know, this is the only case where we have hypothesized UV deflection and birds trying not to pick upon them, looking at it as something which is repelling.
So it's been
Oh,
such
what a
a
session, my God.
wonderful session. You know, as the title of the session indicates, mysterious lives of the web designers. And I think the good part is that you know, as Devi and me were discussing on the session itself, we need to have another session, which we will uh, uh, figure out and announce very soon on our Instagram handle. And we look forward to see you all on this next session whenever this happens on spiders. But I must also remind you, we have as part of the Jungle Secrets, we have two different platforms. One is the online platform, sessions like these, and the another is where we invite, you know, the experts to Jim's Jungle Retreat, and then, you know, all those who are present here can benefit. As part of uh, this effort, we are going to have Parag, uh, who is an expert on macro photography. We've already done a session with him in the past, recently. So he's coming and spending about 3 days with us, starting 19th of September. And all those who will be here will certainly be benefiting. We will post, uh, you know, uh, clips and pictures and information out of these sessions that we do with Parag on our social media handles. And please check out our social media space for all the upcoming sessions of Jungle Secrets.